Welcome to another week of Celtic Chalk Talk. Here we are, we talk about the Celtics. My name's Steve Purciello, a Celtic fan my whole life, which is a long time. And I go back to Bill Russell and those great teams that they had then. So I have a little experience being a Celtic fan, and I can always talk about them because it never dies. You root for them forever. Last week was an interesting week. We opened up with Detroit, and that was a measuring stick, as I would say. And we found out if we were good enough to play with the big boys. We were home, so that helps us, but it didn't help us enough. There was a couple observations I had. The first thing I realized during the game was that Boston had quite enough talent to play with a team like Detroit. Close. Now you begin to ask yourself, will Jason Tatum equal that? But then you have to understand you got to be patient. You can't expect Tatum to come back and be getting 30 a night, be Jason Tatum. It's going to take a little time. There's going to be minutes restrictions, and it's just not going to be right out of the box a good situation. It'll get better. Is he enough, though, that allows you to play with Detroit and the Knicks, who are better than Detroit? But is he enough? I don't know. I don't think so. Now, in the game against Detroit, Brown and White tried to carry it in the fourth quarter. The thing that alarmed me was Anthony Simons was out there. Anthony Simons appeared to want the ball down the stretch. He let Brown and White play. Anybody who's watched Anthony Simons play know he is a human microwave, Vinnie Johnson style. He can heat up, and in a game like that, he could have carried you a little bit down the stretch. He did it. He disappeared. That's something to think about, and it's a problem. And that, I thought, was probably the biggest thing I took out of the game was Simon's disappearance. And it was upsetting. Let's move along. After the measuring stick game, the Celtics then played the Miami Heat on Friday. Interesting. Miami was on a back-to-back, and that's an important thing to know going in. In the first half, I thought Miami played tremendous defense and was taking away Jaylen Brown and White. And really, although White played great, but it was all through a lot of threes, but the dribble drives were out, and Brown was getting doubled, but just getting taken away. And I thought, oh, this could be a tough. Fortunately for the Celtics, it was a back-to-back. In the second half for Miami, in the second half, you saw Boston getting a lot of wide-open threes, particularly in the beginning of the fourth quarter. Sam Hauser came to life. Those of us who root for the Celtics know he has not shot the ball well so far this year. But he came to life. Derek White had a crazy, great game. Jaylen Brown, not a great game, but he still got 30. And he scored when they needed him, and he was tough down the stretch. Boston, 34 points in the third and 37 in the fourth. That is indicative of one thing. Miami going in a back-to-back. They ran, their legs were not there anymore. Again, first half, Boston had trouble getting good shots. Second half, getting wide-open shots. We all know Boston can shoot. They shot the lights out in the fourth quarter and just blew out Miami going away. In what would have been, it was a close game. Outside of the fourth quarter and the third quarter, Boston didn't really play well in the first half. But they got the win. That's what counts. Now, then they came back on a back-to-back Saturday night. Very interesting game with Toronto. A lot to be learned in that game. They played Toronto. Boston got off quick. Toronto came back by the half. And you're starting to think it's gonna be a rough night. Jaylen Brown's out. So what are we going to do? What happened? A couple things. First of all, Joe Missoula, who I'll talk about in a few minutes, but Joe Missoula coached a brilliant game. What he did to back, legs go in the second half, Brown's out. What he did was really very integrate his bench and gave them serious minutes. Gonzalez he's just getting better, and he's going to be a player. I'd love to see what he's going to be like in 2 years. Good defender, can stick to three, goes to the basket. He's got the makings of a real good player. And I think Boston's got something. Now, Walsh was sick, and he played a little bit, tried to play, and he wasn't effective, so they pulled him. It was interesting. Luka Garza, who's been in the doghouse, hasn't played for weeks, comes out double digits in rebounds and points. Great offensive rebounding, gave a spark. Another Joe Missoula move. Guy was lost on the bench, pulls him out of nowhere, and he plays very well. This was part of integrating that bench. Minot played his usual fine game, and Simons, of course, was good also. So by using that bench and using these people, it cut the minutes he used his regulars who were coming in the back-to-back, except for Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard, he's like the energizer of the bunny. He just never runs out of gas. Played minutes Friday night, Saturday night, and he was tremendous. He was almost a triple-double, but he just did so many things that were just tremendous. And I want to get back to Ugo. The thing I'm going to say to him, his flying around. When you play basketball, if you're playing with somebody who's all over the place and you're on his team, it gives you the energy to want to do the same. And all of a sudden, the Celtics, because of Ugo's flying around and playing so well, the Celtics began to fly around and play well in the second half. And they beat Toronto going away. Ugo is just, he can do a lot of things. One of the things he's very good at, he can defend just about any position. And that's rare in the NBA. He and Jordan Walsh have the same thing. They can defend anybody, and that's big. It's a good win. It was a good win on a night back-to-back in Toronto, and you got to be happy about that. Couple things. I talked about Ugo, and the thing I'll say about that is he's this week's Jordan Walsh. He's the guy that's going to come. He's just getting better, and so on. Touched on something before. Joe Missoula. He does a tremendous job, and we should, as Celtic fans, be appreciative of the job he does. Smart enough to use his bench early against Toronto in the back-to-back. It paid off. A lot of teams, a guy like Luka Garza would have just given up and not cared anymore after he hit the bench for a couple of weeks. He got Luka out there, and Luka played hard and played well. And he was a key in the game. Joe Missoula, he's brought him along slow. Ugo's getting better with every game. It's impressive. The Celtics, the way they develop talent. Let's think about Kate. Got him from Sacramento, cut by Sacramento. Was the fourth center for 2 years. He languished behind everybody, Horford, and Porzingis, and Cornette. This year, and he goes out, and he's a positive contributor every night. Good roll man to the basket on the screen and roll. Has demonstrated lately the ability to go to the basket, put the ball on the floor, and score. He does all that. He can rebound and holds his own. Remember, going into the season, a while back, we were worried about rebounding. Nemias has helped shut that up and has helped in the rebounding area. So these are things that Boston has developed. Jordan Walsh, he was the last guy on the bench at the beginning of the year. 2 years, they kept saying someday, and you thought, he ain't going to make it. He'll probably get cut. No, found the spot, and he has been flourishing in that spot. So you really have confidence in their ability to develop talent. The last one I'll say with that is Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser, if you forgot, was a free agent. Went to Virginia, transferred to Virginia, actually. Boston signed him as a free agent, and he's been a project. What a great shooter. And he goes in streaks. He can help put teams away. So those are some of the things the Celtics did. The other thing the Celtics are demonstrating is they have nice depth. And boy, that is important, especially in the back-to-back situations like they demonstrated. Those are important things. Now, how good could Boston be? And I've thought about this a lot. I think that when Tatum comes back, as I said, it's going to take a while for him to assimilate and be to what Jason Tatum was. I don't see it right away if he does come back this year. If he does, they really have some decisions to make. They have the one card, Anthony Simons. Hey, you got some choices here. If you stay with Simons, I think he can help, but I don't know if he's comfortable yet. His contract's up at the end of the year, so the logical thing is to trade him and try to get a big that complements Kata and can help us in the 5 spot. However, just put this in the back of your mind. What if you take Anthony Simons? Okay, you sit down with him and say, look, obviously you're not going to get 27 million from anybody this year's old. How do you come back with us and sign for 10, 12 million for 2, 3 years after this year? Would he be interested? And if he is, what a great sign, because then you're getting a bench player. Don't forget, Hauser's making 11 million. I think Simon's a better player. So you're getting a good bench player at a good price, and he can help him as we see Ugo and the rest of these people develop. Now, those are the things the Celtics have to decide. I think the biggest decision here is in or out. And by in or out, what I mean is the Celtics have to decide, do they think they have a real chance to get to the finals? That means going through the Knicks. That means going through Detroit. You need a little more. We just saw it Monday. A little more to be able to beat the Detroits of the world, and you need a little more to beat the Knicks consistently also. So those are the factors, and those are things that'll be coming. Decisions will be made by mid-February. And it'll be interesting to see what Boston decides to do. That's it for today. Always a pleasure. If you haven't seen us or heard us yet, try us again next week. We go out every Monday on Celtic Chalk Talk. Thank you and take care.